Cheers. Let's talk about sexual alchemy. Sexual alchemy is the act of coming together with a woman in coitus, intercourse, without releasing your seed. This is the next level of semen retention. In fact, the whole purpose of practicing semen retention is to get yourself to such a level of mastery over your most basic instinct, which is to release, so that you can enter into sexual alchemy. Now, this has been a closely guarded secret for thousands of years. What I'm talking about here, what we're going to dive into in this video, is the secret of secrets. It is the occult mystery underlying all other occult practices. And there's two paths, the black and the white, the left and the right. But they both lead to the same place, which is God realization. Realizing that you are the all. You are it. So, what I've been doing for the past 6 months now, a bit over 6 months, is practicing sex without release. Now, it's been a bit of a dicey journey because my wife has given birth 6 months ago. Her hormones have been all over the shop. Our relationship has been up and down, but it's all part of the journey, right? Now, what I've found with this practice of sexual alchemy is that it is extremely challenging. It is quite possibly the hardest thing that you can do as a man. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to say it's the hardest thing that you can do as a man. Why is that? Semen retention in and of itself, hard, really challenging. Stopping this habit of turning to corn, turning to self-pleasuring every time you feel a negative emotion, every time you feel a bit depressed, every time you feel a bit like life's not going the way you want it to go, every time you feel that instinct of lust rising up, your most basic instinct, your habit has been to jerk off, to choke the chicken, to bust a nut. And so that's hard. Breaking that habit, extremely hard. But when you find a woman who you love, who you're highly attracted to, where there is extreme polarity, her feminine energy complements your masculine energy to the point where there is just strong chemistry. Like you can feel that magnetic field when you're around her. That's your body showing you that there is a strong electromagnetic charge, her negative to your positive, drawing together. When you find a woman like that and you start having sex with her, the challenge goes to a whole new level. Not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. All these 4 bodies, these 4 layers, are going to be challenged in a way that have never been challenged before. So the attraction's strong. You start having sex, you've been retaining, all your body wants to do is shoot its seed into this woman. All your body wants to do is spread your DNA with this attractive woman, to plant your seed inside her. But you, as the conscious being behind the body, the awareness of the body, you who knows the power of seed retention, who wants to reach these deeper states, who wants to reach these higher levels of mastery, you have to keep the body calm. You have to breathe. You have to relax in the act of being sexually aroused. And this is doing something extremely unique. If you study the work of Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who was a scientist who went deep into studying flow states. You can read the book Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. It's all about flow states. Now, what is a flow state? A flow state is where you have perfect equilibrium. In other words, a perfect meeting of sympathetic, which is your body's arousal state, your body's excitement state. Think of dopamine being spiked drastically. And parasympathetic, which is your body's rest and relaxation state. This is why, for example, when you smoke a blunt with some really good weed, it could be sativa or it could be indica, but when you smoke a really good blunt, just some premium quality weed, what you effectively have there is a perfect balance between the CBD, right, which is the parasympathetic compound present in cannabis, the relaxation aspect, the body feels, the parasympathetic, the slowing down, the relaxation aspect of the cannabis plant. A perfect balance between that and sympathetic, which is the THC, the tetrahydrocannabinol aspect of the cannabis plant. The THC is the masculine, right? It is the energetic, it is the extroverted aspect of the plant, which will stimulate your mind. The CBD is working on your body. The THC is working on your mind. And when you have a perfect meeting of these two, body and mind, feminine and masculine, you are going to have a sweet experience. See, too much of this masculine and you're going to start skitzing. You're going to get up in your head. You're going to start overthinking. And that's not a fun experience, because then you start getting into paranoia. But too much CBD, the feminine, you're going to get too much into your body to the point where you just want to go to sleep, because your body becomes so relaxed that it's just game over. It's like 2 puffs and bedtime. Off to beddy bye as we go. So the masculine and feminine current, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, must meet at perfect equilibrium. This is where you can transcend into higher states. This is where you can transcend into bliss states. This is what is described by Samael Aun-Weor in his book, The Perfect Matrimony, as Christification. This is what all of the enlightened gurus, yogis, sages teach. They all teach the same thing. This is what the Bhagavad Gita, this is the core teaching of the Gospel of Thomas, which is the true teaching of Christianity. This is the true teaching of Islam, which is actually Sufism. Sufism is the mystical core of Islam, and it is all about breaking away the outer shell, the false appearances, the ego, and realizing your true nature, which is oneness with everything. In other words, God is in everything. God is in you. And so, in the last video, I touched on meditation as being the tool that you can use to start to deepen your experience of your own body, quiet the mind, dropping deeper into these parasympathetic states, deep relaxation. But you must also have the other aspect, which is the excitement, the fire, the chemistry. And this is what happens through sexual alchemy. You must have the two sides, the duality coming together in order to achieve transcendence. Whew. We're spitting some bangers this morning, brothers. We're spitting some fire. So, your main challenge when you find your woman, which I encourage you, all of you to do, to get your life to such a level where you're ready to receive a woman into your life. Take care of your finances. Take care of your body. Master semen retention. Make an unconditional commitment to master semen retention. No more coming. Done. Done with coming. I've made enough content now on the detriments of coming, hopefully to convince you that it's not worth it ever. It's just not worth it. It doesn't bring you anything but a few seconds of pleasure. And if you really need to come, if your body physiologically needs to come, it'll make sure you do in a night release. You don't have to do it. Your body will handle it. It's all inbuilt into the human system. All the fail-safes, all the mechanisms, it's all built into you. So just commit to the journey. Get yourself to that place where you're ready to receive a woman. It's like the metaphor of the home. You prepare the home. You make the home beautiful. You make sure there's a solid foundation of financial security there. You make sure that you as a man are strong and unfuckwithable. You've taken care of all the basics in your life. And you will just attract a woman because you've created the ecosystem into which a goddess can easily move. You don't have to chase her, just take care of all the other shit in your life. Once you've got that, it's time to start practicing the sacred art. It's time to start practicing the secret of secrets. And so, as you step into that sexual encounter with her, your energy, your excitement, your arousal is naturally going to want to peak so quickly, especially if you've been retaining for a long time. And so you must master the feminine aspect, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic, the relaxation. She is already there because she's already in her feminine. But you as the man, you're up here in yang. Your energy is already up here in high excitement, in fire. You just want to get in there, dump your load inside her and get out, basically. That's your programming. But now you've got to start practicing breathing. Now you've got to start practicing deep grounding. Now you've got to start dropping into your balls on a deeper level than you ever have before. Otherwise, you're going to fire your load within a few minutes. This is the power of sexual alchemy. It changes you. It has changed me. You're going to have to develop a level of connection to your own body and awareness of your own body that you've never had before, just to make it through a session of Tantra, sex without release. You're going to have to learn how to relax deeper than you ever have before. This takes mastery, brothers. This does not happen in a single session. But am I saying you should give yourself a permission slip to come multiple times while you're learning Tantra? Hell no. Hell no. You do not want to mess up your streak. You do not want to mess up your semen retention practice practicing Tantra. So what do? You've got to treat the sexual act. And I'm not talking shit here when I say this. You need to adopt the attitude, the mindset that you are about to come face to face with God. That's the level of respect you need to treat this process with. I'm not saying you need to worship the woman. That comes later. There is a time and a place where you will realize the divinity of the woman. But to begin with, all you need to do is treat this like a magic ritual, because that's exactly what it is. When you have sex, you are entering a sacred energy exchange. You are practicing magic. How can I say that? You are bringing together the two fundamental currents of reality. Been talking about it all through this video so far. You are bringing together the fundamental building blocks of the atom. You look at the structure of the atom, you've got positive, negative, and neutral charge. That's the proton, electron, and neutron. Brother, you are stepping into the building blocks of reality. This isn't just sex, like we've been taught. This isn't just a casual bit of fun, bit of a stress relief. This is entering into God. That is how reverently you have to look at this experience. And in your sack, you are holding the alchemical gold. This ain't just some cheap throwaway biological fluid. You are holding the alchemical gold. So you have to go into the sexual act with the attitude that you are carrying a nutsack full of gold, pure, the finest gold. And you will no way in hell, release that gold. That's yours. That's yours. That's not for her. You are the custodian of God. You're holding God in your balls. So there's no space for like, oh, whoopsie. Oh, I slipped up. Dang it. There's no space for that. Now, does that mean you need to be fearful of losing? No, you don't. What I'm saying in all of this is you have to let go of all of the emotions. You have to allow all the emotions to flow freely. This is a paradox. You might have to watch this video multiple times to really get what I'm saying, because I know that this is highly advanced teachings that I'm transmitting here. When you go into the sexual act, you have to allow all of the emotions to flow freely. Because if you try to hold them back, if you feel fear, if you feel nervousness, if you feel, maybe you feel shame, maybe you feel embarrassment, you have to allow all that energy to flow through you. Because if you try and hold back those emotions, if you try and hold back that energy, you will end up releasing it through your balls, through your dick. That's how this works. Because if you imagine the body like a stream of energy, right, from the root to the crown, there's this stream of energy. And your semen energy, your sexual energy, your kundalini, it wants to rise. That's its destiny, to ascend. That's the Christ energy in you. It wants to rise and be rejoined with the Father in heaven. In other words, the head. Head is heaven. But because you have been so afraid of power because of the conditioning, because you have been conditioned to believe that you are separate from God, that you are worthless, you've been conditioned to believe that there's nothing to see here. You're just a poor little me locked up in a bag of skin. That's what you've been taught from day one. And so you have blocked up this river with layer upon layer of shame, fear, guilt. They're the primary low emotions that this world programs you with. Shame, fear, and guilt. And so because the energy can't come up your spine, it can't rise because of all these blockages which have been installed in you, like malware, like Trojan horses, viruses, parasites. You can give it whatever name you want. All of the great teachers of history basically called it the ego. It's a survival program which paradoxically doesn't actually help you survive. It just brings you an early death after a life filled with regrets, missed opportunities, and smallness. So, in order to allow this sexual energy to rise instead of being ejected through your lower chakra, through your dick, which is what you've been doing this whole time, you have to approach the sexual act in a mudra, as they call it in yoga, a mudra. This is a mudra, it's a position, it's a posture. Or in other words, an asana, a posture. You have to approach sex in the posture. See what I'm doing here right now? The prayer hands. This is the joining of the masculine and feminine side of the body. masculine and feminine, left and right hemisphere of the brain. That's why we do this when we pray, because we're coming into a state of unity. You have to approach the act of sex in a posture of surrender. In other words, coming before God, coming before divinity in an act of total surrender. Everything that I've been carrying, my shame, my guilt, my fear, my worries, I let this go. I give this to God. In other words, sex becomes a container. It's like a cauldron. It's an alchemical cauldron where you bring all of this heaviness, all of these lower frequencies, including lust, right? Lust it's a lower frequency, but we don't condemn it. We don't condemn lust. We use it for the alchemical process. We bring our lust, we bring our intense, satanic, fiery desire for the woman, for the pussy. And we surrender it into the cauldron of sex, into the melting pot. And she does the same. She brings all of her, this is what women do naturally. They bring all of their emotion. This is the raw material, the raw ingredients of alchemy. They bring their emotion into the act of sex. This is why you have the most incredible sex with a woman when she's emotional. Not when she's like calm and centered and at peace. And it's like, no, you have a fight or you create some charge, some electrical charge. You create some push-pull, some yin-yang energy, some conflict, and you're going to have the most insane sex because you've stirred up that emotion. And you're doing the same thing. You're bringing all of that heaviness that you have stored in your body and you're pouring it into the sexual act. And when you don't release out of your dick, now the sexual energy is going to start releasing up your spine. It's going to start traveling. It has to go somewhere. And because you've cleared these blockages, because you're in a posture of surrender, the energy can move up your spine freely. And up it goes, all the way to the third eye, all the way to the crown. Now you're unlocking dormant parts of your brain. It's said that when you raise the Christ oil, the sacred secretion, when you fully raise this energy, this sexual energy, through the act of sexual alchemy, you unlock 1,000 times brain function. Can you imagine what you could do with 1,000 times brain function? It's like that movie, Lucy, when she is carrying this new drug, this new nootropic drug inside her intestines. She's smuggling it. And then the bag inside her intestines breaks open and she gets like a 10,000 times dose of this drug into her bloodstream directly. She turns into a god. You start to feel every leaf rustling around you. You start to feel the footfall of an ant, the gravitational pull, the spin of the earth. This is colossal power I'm talking about. This is accessed through sexual alchemy. Semen retention is just step one. So brothers, if you want to dive deeper on this, I've built a community all about sexual alchemy. This is for the guys who are ready to start practicing or who have already started practicing. This is an advanced level practice. This is the highest level spiritual practice. It's been secret for millennia, but it's being unveiled. Just in this last little pocket of history, in the last 50 or 60 years, this practice has been rediscovered. That's because it's dangerous. But if you're ready to step into that, jump in Zion. It's my own private cult. You'll have full access to myself as the cult leader. Download all the secret teachings. If you want to work with me one-on-one, check out the link below. You can apply to do some deeper work with me where we dive into godhood. I've tried to dress it up with different marketing terms, but there's no other way of saying it other than I'll help you realize your divinity, because that's the path I'm on. So if you want to do that, hit the link below. Much love, Kings.